Welcome back to College Football, episode number 21. This has been an interesting challenge, and I think last episode really got to me in one key way. So we'll talk about that topic first, and then some plans for what we're going to do this season. The drop in prestige, losing that half star after a 500 season, after finishing sixth in a conference of, what do we have, 14 teams? So above the midway point of the conference. Really getting to me. Really getting to me, that one. Take for a moment outcomes. What would happen if only the top two or three teams, or the top third of teams, gained something within a year? And if everybody else lost, what do you have? Well, after a decade or two, every team in the nation, bar 20, would have no prestige whatsoever. In order for prestige to work long term in any sort of series or any sort of playthrough, it would be necessary for there to be a balancing of what's going on with the rise and fall of prestige. Your upper third or so, maybe even just a quarter, improve prestige each season. Your bottom equal number, poor performers, go the opposite direction. And if you shift that relatively equally, while the middle chunk, whether it's a third, whether it's a half of the overall programs, see no change, no rise, no fall, then you will maintain a balance. But you have to have equal footing. There has to be roughly the same number going up and down at any given time for that to succeed. And for us to be better than neutral and lose a half star is still devastatingly bad form in my mind. Beyond that, it has impacted us, and now moving on, segue over, recruiting. Suddenly nobody wants to sign with us again. None of the 4 stars, the 3 stars, nobody's interested in signing with a half-star program. They were interested with a 1-star program, but not a half-star. So we're back to square one when it comes to recruiting for the year. And on that square one for recruiting, we've been there, we've done that. You know how it works, how it functions. I can get a full class of not quite 35, but close to 35 3-star recruits. If we're lucky, we can get 2 to maybe 4 4-star guys. So if I'm going to go after a 4-star, it's got to be 50 hours in the house and just go all the way, at least almost to the finish line, before slowing up at all. And just keep pushing. You got to get those 4 stars over the line. Here's my other big thought on the season, as I'm going to be doing all that recruiting behind the camera this season. I think I might be a couple guys short of where we've been in typical years. But, hold on. One more thing before we pivot. The other thing about recruitment is the last couple of years, we started focusing much more heavily on those deal breakers and getting guys that not only can we sign today, keep for the future. Guys that have deal breakers that aren't suddenly 1 year from now or the year after going to get those guys to jump ship and go elsewhere. So suddenly the last couple of years, we've had a drastic decrease in the number of transfers out. And we will continue to recruit in that manner so that we can maintain a much smaller balance of outgoing players with a good, strong balance of incoming players. And in a way, we've seen our overall drop. We were an 80 a year ago, we're a 79 now, yet we are not worse. That's your entire roster. And we've gotten younger because we didn't have as many going out, and we've had a ton coming in, and it's brought down the overall balance of the team just a hair. Doesn't mean we're worse. Just means we have more guys. More numbers, and they're younger. That's going to continue to happen in this next year, presumably, but hanging on to guys longer means they're going to get more developed, and means the overall quality of the team actually gets better. But now the question's going to come down to position by position. Can we bring up every position, or am I only recruiting well in specific areas where I broke the mold earlier and have multiple bonuses going in? We're almost to the point where we have bonuses everywhere. The quarterback one's the one we're working on now. After that, it's just punter and kicker, and we haven't had too much difficulty getting one guy each season in that department, or close to one guy in that department each year. And so we have some talent there, and it's not a concern. So recruitment wise, we're pretty well locked in, and I'll be doing that off camera for this season. Now, the shift, the pivot. The biggest thing holding us back is threefold. One, I'm still very suspect at my ability playing this game after so many years away from it. I was pretty bad when we started, but I did certain things well enough. Now, I play good defense. I play very solid on defense. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm not doing enough. I still make too many mistakes, but I'm also not terrible anymore, but I'm definitely not good. But I'm still limited on skill. So when I play, I'm holding us back a little bit. Second fold of this situation, though, is that the AI, when I play, if I don't play every down, the AI is abysmal in-game. I play at such a level that's definitely not quite as good as the team could or should be, but the AI, the rest of those downs, the rest of those possessions within the game is significantly worse. I play the defensive side of the ball, and the offense does nothing. If I simulate that game, they're getting 30 to 40 points. I play the game live, we're lucky to get 7 out of them. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it would be in real life. If there's a significant difference between the teams, the games get pretty comfortable. Now, in real life, you do see good teams at the beginning of the season have bad days. And then they kind of figure it out, and they sort those problems, and they move on. But if we're talking about a really good team having a really bad day against a significantly lower team, we're talking about, instead of winning by 35, they win by 14. In this game, the offense will literally do nothing. We can come out and have seen it multiple times in this, probably 3 times already, since the team wasn't a 61 overall, since we've been in that 75 plus terrain. We've seen the offense score 7 or less in an entire game. Unless I play every down, the AI absolutely tanks and sabotages any progress we're making, meaning I'm disincentivized to play a game because I don't have time to play every down. And that's the whole point on this series, is it's supposed to be a long-term rebuild over many seasons. I have to simulate some of a game. I have to simulate some of entire games. And then that brings me into that third fold. I have to simulate games. It's pushing me to simulate them and not play them. I'm disincentivized to play the game, so I have to simulate. And what we've seen with the simulations, where they're nowhere near as bad as the in-game simulation, they're still all over the place. Now, yes, you see upsets in real life, in college sports. These are young men. They are not as consistent as the professionals, so there are more upsets here than you get elsewhere. But IRL, not at the level that you see here. But the other big thing is the playbook. Is that what is causing all of this? Well, my thought process, my mentality is this is a rebuild of Akron. We are trying to turn Akron into a contender. Now, does that mean that Akron can never change their play style? Never change their playbook? No. I mean, in real life, you see changes like that, but it's infrequent. University of Oregon, as an example. It's where I went to school. I was in between my freshman year and sophomore year when they made the change from a pro style to the spread that has made them famous over the last 2.5 decades, or the last just over 2 decades. There's been subtle changes since then, minor changes to how they play. They'll be a little more option focused, or they'll be a little more run focused, whatever the case may be. Overall, the general style that is Oregon football has been in place now for just over 2 decades. But there's been one single major shift. Akron has a style. I'm trying to go within those constraints. I'm trying not to stray away from that. Now, there's other little things that I could do within the game, but not much. And I'm going to push through at a torrid pace for this season. Enough talking. I want to get into it. But so starting to progress rather rapidly. We do open the season with a win at home against Jacksonville State. We're 18 overall quality points lower than we were. Obviously should have been a win. Was a win. Non-conference. Let me push through those non-conference games, and I'll show you what our standings are and what the scores were from those games afterward. First phase of the season done. The win against Jacksonville State was 34-17. And then we had a home game against FCS Midwest, winning 56-27, and a close win against a good San Jose State, who are themselves 3-1 at this point in the season. We win that one 52-45, but all three of those were home games. Now we're going to have a difficult road game against Buffalo. They're 3-1, first conference game. We'll have then some winnable games over the next few. After our 3-0 start to the season, we've continued right on, beating Buffalo quite comfortably, 36-6. They have slipped to 4-3 since then, though. We beat Miami at home 37-20, and then we just squeaked out a victory at a really weak New Mexico side, 27-24. But we were on the road, which we've seen that be the kind of X factor one of being on the road makes it a lot harder, and you never know what's going to happen. They might only have 2 wins this year, but we were on the road, and we seemed to have that really rough day. But we still came out on top, and that seems more realistic to real life with a team of our quality, because we turned around and went home to UMass, maybe a little upset over how we played the week prior, and got a shutout, 45-0 against a weak UMass side at home. But coming off of the performance with New Mexico, it made a lot of sense. So as we head into the final 5 games of the season, we have finished our non-conference portion of the schedule a perfect 4-0. In conference, we've only played 3 so far, but we've won all 3. We're doing great as 7-0. We're still not ranked for that, which makes perfect sense for weak team, weak conference. Even though we're having a great season so far, we haven't played much in terms of quality at this point. But next up is Bowling Green, and they are 5-2, 2-1 in conference, and we're on the road. It's going to be a really, really tough game, and probably so will Toledo. I think if we can end up splitting those, I think we'll still be very much on track for we're already on track for a great season. We've already guaranteed a 500-plus record. But Bowling Green, Toledo, if you could split those, great shape. And then you would hope to beat Ball State on the road. They're 0-3 in conference. They have been the weakest team in the conference in recent seasons. That's a pretty winnable road game. And then 2 home games. Central Michigan looks like they're not going to be easy to get the win. And Kent State, you absolutely should get the win. But that means there's 2 very much should win the games. And then there's 3 tougher games. I'm hoping to win 2 of those. Maybe we only win 1 of those. But that means we should be taking at least 3 wins of the final 5 games to wrap up the season. And so if we can get to 10-2, I will be quite happy. We've won that game. I don't know what the score was just yet, but we've got a career receiving yard record from Awasika. And I changed my mind about the recruiting part. We've gone way deep into the season already to have our first update, but I figure you deserve at least one update on how things are progressing. It turns out that there were 7 4-star guys available. I started with a group of 4 in the first couple weeks, added 3 more a couple weeks later as a little bit of shake up in the 35 happened, and I was able to find a few more guys that were pretty good not being recruited in the 4-stars. Well, anyway, we're down to 5 on that, as a couple of them did get targeted. Well, one of them got targeted very early, and it was like, nope, not going to have any of that. I know we're going to lose. Backed off. And then we had one that ended up with a deal breaker situation. Playing time. He went from happy on playtime to, I think, realizing that one of the other 4-star guys was better than him and was very much liking us, and so it lowered his rating on the deal breaker, and so we cut him out. So there's 5. One of them just this week, our first guy, Savage here, middle linebacker, now has Virginia Tech and Clemson chasing us, but we are so far along that I had backed off to 25 hours to make it work. Pushed it back up to 50, and I think we should be able to hold them off because we have enough of a lead. So for the most part, I've tried to do 50 where I can, and only 25 as a minimum to keep them pushing along, and it's giving me a better chance to hold these guys off. Texas Tech is chasing me on this wide receiver, but we're pushing in towards commit status now. I've pushed it on to top 3 already, and I've got enough of a head start that with 50 hours, it should work. In fact, I'm going to move him up there. The other one that I'm going still, the later addition is this week's linebackers. So those are the guys getting 50 hours. The others are getting 25, and I'm only got a single 3-star guy that I'm putting 25 hours into. And it's the position of desperation. My secondary, really hard to recruit this year. No free safeties, no strong safeties of 3-star variety that had anything in the deal breaker variety that was going to function. So I've got like 4 cornerbacks to help make up for it, but I need a couple of those for corner. I don't have the spare guys. I took on an extra wide receiver in hopes that I could convert one of them over to secondary to help us out, but there's definitely going to have to be some position movement to make things happen. And then I'm using so many hours on those 4-star guys that the 3-stars are not getting much love. So there's really only a few 3-star guys, and unlike last year, right, nobody was interested this year because we only have that half star. So we started from scratch, which means no head starts. We could easily lose quite a few of these guys. Some of them are literally just starting to reach the top of the list now, late in the season, where last season, it was week 1 or 2 where we had a bunch of guys at this point. Stumpf sets the career passing record for touchdowns. And as I was hoping, we do end up splitting those 2 tough road games. Bowling Green, we beat 35-29, and we lose a fairly close one to Toledo, 37-29. They're 4-1 conference, as are we at this point. 3 games left. Ball State better win that one. Central Michigan still looking like a pretty tough one, and Kent State just 4-5. I think we should take 2 out of 3 here to finish the season to get to that 10-win season. So that's what an angry, prestigious program looks like when it comes to recruitment. You can see Clemson. We're holding off Virginia Tech, yes, but Clemson is flying. That's not even with a visit or anything. So we're close to commit, but I think they could overtake us next week on Savage. No joke. Man, rough. Well, the more aggressive push on the 4-stars is paying off, at least to one extent. We've got Trayvon Tran. That was one of the guys that was being pursued by Texas Tech. So getting them over the line, bigger deal. I'm just nervous about getting after the 3-stars when they're now, the whole group is lagging behind so far. Well, I don't get to be thrilled, but I still get to be pretty happy. The Central Michigan game, lost by a single point. 1 point, we lose 35-34. And then Kent State, on the road, bad finish of the season, 34-18. In fact, we lose 3 out of 4 down the stretch to miss out on the 10-win season. But at 9-3, we still could get the 10-win season because there's probably still something to play for. We're only 5-3 in conference. We know Central Michigan's ahead of us because we're looking at it right now. They're 6-2 in conference. Our combined opponent record this season, by the way, 83-61. There's a lot of quality in our opponents this year. And look where I am, 6th in the MAC, right where we were a year ago. Means we're definitely not playing for a conference championship at 6th in the conference, but we are probably, well, not probably, we are definitely headed to a bowl game. Savage did end up going to Clemson. No surprise about that one. Sad that I lost so many hours to that, but we're still paid off. We're getting a good outcome when it comes to our 4 stars. We are getting chased now for Brewer, the halfback. In terms of players we're going to lose, we have one that's worried about pro potential. We have 11 worried about playing time. And it looks like realistically just 3 that are worried about playing style. So we might be at 14 or 15 guys lost this season, but it's still, it's not the 20. I have had my contract extended here, and you can see our performance of late. We had a 7-6, 4-8, 6-7, 2-10, a monstrosity of a season that put us down to 0 stars. But then we followed it up with a 9-5, which then last season ended up at 6-7, slipping backward. But we are guaranteed our best ever record right now. We were 9-3 that year as well, but we lost the conference championship and a bowl game. This year we missed the conference championship, so only a bowl game. Even if we lose it, 9-4 is the worst we can be. So still no 10 win seasons, but the expectation is just 4 wins a year in the next 5-year contract. That'll be pretty dang easy to achieve. Georgia's wide receiver with 1,700 yards and 19 touchdowns has won the Heisman. Oh my goodness. So we're going to play in the Vegas Bowl against 20th ranked Alabama. We're not winning that one. Little head-to-head here with Alabama. So we get 37 points a game. They get 44. We get 336 passing yards. They're only 13 behind that. And the rush game, they're only 6 ahead of us. So similar offenses, but they definitely find a way to put it in the end zone a little bit more often than we do. Their impact player, I'm sure, is significantly better than everybody on our roster because they have a 90-5 overall to our 79. To our 79 overall. They are significantly better. I'm not playing this one live, folks. I've done enough damage in that department over the seasons, and I don't think there's much hope any way you look at it. Down 28-0 at halftime. There definitely wasn't much hope. Better second half, but losing 45-23 is, not good. Not good. 420 yards of offense, though, but they put up 547. We just could not slow them down. And we actually had a pretty solid offensive day. 48 yards on the ground, though. They had 236. It was through the air that we were competitive. 9.3 yards per pass to their 9.4. And overall, we had more yardage through the air, 372 to their 311. In part because second half we were in desperation mode and had to go to the air. But ground game just failed completely. I think that's mostly down to an offensive line. We had individual talent in terms of quarterback position, in terms of the running back position, in terms of some of the receiving core, but the offensive line, which for our level was very competitive, got absolutely beat down by the sheer quality of Alabama's defensive line, who just were able to control the line of scrimmage at will. And I certainly remember those days. We were talking earlier about how I went to U of O and I was there at that transition. And when we first started coming up against the SEC or Big Ten type opposition in those early bowl games where we were still transforming ourselves, and we had this whole, they called it gimmick style before everybody started doing it because they saw how successful it could be, but without the actual quality on the line, comparative. We weren't getting beat down like this. It's not a MAC team, right? It was a Pac-12 team, Pac-10 team. But there was still a disadvantage. There still was a lack of quality in comparison, and it showed in those bigger games. And it really took the last decade or so of big-time recruiters to start bringing in the kind of guys that were making us good no matter who you played against. And now, go to the Big Ten and win the conference immediately. Well, not only do we get our half star back, but we pick up a full star after this season. Now a 1.5 star Akron program. That's going to really help things in the future. It's Georgia who has upset number 1 Miami, giving them their only loss of the year in the championship game. 27-21 victors. Well, with 1.5 stars, I was able to persuade 7 guys, but the persuasion chance was really low with everybody, so I succeeded in a single true freshman quarterback to stick around, but otherwise we are losing this group. But only a handful of them are 70 plus. Only 3 of them are better than a 75, all at 78. One's a punter. So he was redshirting this season anyway. He was number 2 on the depth chart, and I've recruited well at punter recently, so we had some depth there. Not surprised he's leaving, but definitely only 3 key losses for the team for next year. And in terms of graduation, we've got Awasaka. That one definitely hurts. He was only a 2-star recruit when he came in, but made it to 86 overall and got to play all 5 years. He redshirted and stuck around for 5 years. So that was part of our kind of like first recruiting class, I think. And then we've got another 80 defensive tackle. The other guys were mid-70s. Not a lot graduating either. So there's really not that many guys leaving. And overall, it's not going to be that hard to replace what is lost from this group. No players drafted this year, though, despite the couple that had really, really good quality. That sucks because we were on the verge of finishing off that particular task so that we could get into a higher level of coach attribute. Final week of recruiting, the last 7 guys on the list have no offers from anybody else, but we had not cracked the list. I was already at 25 the previous week. I pushed them all up to 35 to try to get them to crack that list. Again, we're starting so far behind everyone this year. Meanwhile, the next group are guys that we just did. They started week 2, so they've had 2 weeks already. 25 was enough to get them on the list. So theoretically, that last group, we should be able to get all of them, but we don't know for sure, especially if some other school comes in and offers at the last second. But it looks like I'm going to secure the signature of 4 4-star guys for the year. And there's only a single recruit out of the 35 that I'm very much in danger of losing. And that's this guy, 3-star right guard Hyde, who we are going all in and had a visit. And Ball State was still gaining on us. We do have better prestige now, but yet we still seem to not be getting the best out of the recruitment. I think in part because there was no A pluses. He didn't care about playing time. He does care about academic prestige, which apparently we are the SEC and not the MAC because we have an F in academic prestige. So we did lose out on Hyde. That's the first, but let me look at the bottom of the list and see how we did on those last 10 guys or so. There's one snuck in, and it's also a right guard, so we lost 2 right guards this way. San Diego, right? But we did secure the rest, so a class of 33 with 4 4-stars is really solid. I was hurting on recruiting secondary. I just lost 2 right guards, so there could be a couple holes, but otherwise we got 33 guys. It's really good recruiting class. That's going to bring about, I'm not going to go into the position changes right now. That's going to bring about the end of this episode. Here's where my mind is at. I feel like I can do a season and episode right now and go management only, no playing the games anymore. I can do a whole season at a time and see how long it takes us to build a champion. Is that something you would like to see, or do you think this and that part being missing should bring an end to the season? I'm also going to slow down the pacing if I'm going to go that direction. This is going to take the place of my football coach series that just wrapped up. So 1 episode a week, 1 season per episode is the direction I want to go with this one. Let me know in the comments below if that's an idea you would like to see, and see if we can get Akron to be a champion with our playbook, with our style, with this program. We have a star and a half. I should be able to recruit even better next year than I did this year. If we can consistently hang on to guys and build, there's no reason to think that we shouldn't eventually get this team to be champions. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Neighbor. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.